3, 2, 1. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hi, this is Goblin Terror, and welcome. Alright, this is Elite Dangerous. It is a mass multiplayer conglomerate of awesome. And right now, I've got the drive engines charged, and I'm just gonna jump right to the action, because I know you hate videos that, at least most people hate videos that just talk and talk and talk, and then have like 2 seconds accident at the end, so that to make sure you don't skip it, I'm gonna go ahead and engage. Jumping right along. This is the Sidewinder Mark 1. It's the first ship that you start out with. We are in a transitional warp period, and we're in frame shift. This is their warp drive, if you will, except for it'll get things done in about 10 seconds. So in a minute we're going to come out of warp, and there's going to be a star that appears magically right in front of us. There it is. Scares me every time. First thing you're going to need to do when you're warping to a new system, you're going to head to the left control panel. There are several ways to do this. If you got track IR, just look to your left. If you got a joystick, use hat switches or what, I don't know. But I'm just going to talk about gameplay. I don't want to get into keybinds because that's really, really complicated. Alright, here we go. We got Chango Dock, which is where we're headed. We've got about 16,000 credits worth of cargo, somewhere along those lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head on to Chango Dock. The reason we're moving so fast is we are in Super Cruise, which means we can travel up to the speed of light, which we just hit, or beyond the speed of light, which we are hitting. Now, Star Trek, their warp equals 10C at maximum warp, on the newest series anyway. But this allows it to where you can warp into a system, but there still has to be skill in how you approach something. Like you go into a suborbital system with your frame shift, and then you have to close in on Chango Dock like I'm doing right now. Distance is measured in 3 ways: light years, light seconds, or, well, kilometers or meters. 4 ways, I guess. Speed is measured in meters per second, kilometers per second, and speed of light, or how many times the speed of light you're going, which is what's going on right now. So I'm about to just pop in right here at Chango, but it's not going to be immediate because Super Cruise is a bit funny, and that you cannot decelerate very much, so I always just use the planet's gravity to net me, and then I speed back up, locate it again, using the bottom sensor cluster here. You can see that we're on target with Chango now. That little box on the target reticle, it's telling me to slow down, which is probably a good idea, so I'm probably going to have to do another pass. But yeah, on the left, the percentage you see is my heat, and on the right you see my speed, which is fluctuating rapidly. I shouldn't have done that, but I'll just aim and reset. I was out of alignment for this station, so I need to jump back in. And of course we got the cooldown to fight. Off to the right we've got status, which is my ship, the Sidewinder. Balance is considerable. Kills, crime, and bounty, which is 9, clean, and 0. Here we've got modules, which controls ship drives. That's the engine right there. Shield generator requires slightly less power. Cargo hatch, sensors, all that other stuff. Never turn off life support, because then you got about 10 minutes, because oxygen kicks in. Fire groups, that's your weapons, which I'll show you later. Cargo is what I'm carrying, and those are very expensive, so I'm not going to jettison them like I could if I hit enter. And functions, this is just other stuff that you can do. Like choose factions if you're in a faction zone, flight assist, forward fire, whatever. I should probably jump. 4, 3, 2. But yeah, this is Elite Dangerous, and it basically, we've got the entire galaxy to play with. Like, the whole thing. Like right now we've only got just about 30,000 cubic light years, which is still a considerable amount, but given how fast you can travel in this game, it's not really needed. Now off to the right you can see that I've got fuel, which is marked by that bar there. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are for yet, and underneath that we've got states of various stuff like mass locked. It means you can't just jump out of a station inside of the station. You have to get a ways away from it before you can go. Landing gear is landing gear, you know, just so you can dock at this station that I'm coming up on. And cargo scoop is if you find floating cargo, or if you blow somebody up and they drop their cargo, you can collect it and sell it at at a illicit goods store and get some money off of it without actually having to make any prior investments like I did with this terrain enrichment systems right over here. And I've gotten really good at requesting docking because I've been playing this game for about 8 hours. That's game time. It is in beta, so this game is not complete, and it costs about $75 to get into. But once you're in, it's just awesome because you can... It's basically roleplay in space. Now, I'm getting close to within range of Chango Dock, so before I even get near the hatch, I'm going to go ahead and request docking.
Request granted.
Now, this is massively multiplayer, so there are no instances. Everybody on everywhere is everybody everywhere. So, if you're at Chango Dock, everybody in the world who's at Chango Dock will be visible to you, and will be able to shoot you with these handy-dandy weapons. Now, mine aren't that great because this is a disposable ship just in case I crash. And Chango Dock has... Hey, turn them off. So, I'm going to turn them off. These stations are indestructible as yet, and they have an incredible amount of firepower, so it's incredibly difficult to fire in the no-fire zone and get away with it. So here we are at Station Dock. We are mass locked now because we're close to it. I'm gonna follow this guy right on in. He's gonna be oh, my brain hurts. Ouch. I have never done that. Okay. Sorry, usually the entrances to this is a lot smoother than that. Alright, there's my docking bay. You gotta be very careful with stations, because if you sit here longer... I know 8 minutes seems like a long time to dock, but it's very difficult to compensate for the rotation of this station, so... I'm gonna go ahead and dock. This game is only a shadow of what it aims to be. Eventually we're gonna have planetary landings and all that, but basically what we got right now is you got a station system, several governments, and the absence of government, which is Freeport right now, which is the nearest thing to us, and other stuff. But yeah, we've got the entire galaxy, as I'm going to show you before I dump my cargo, which I'm about to do as well, and explain how that all works. Alright, this may or may not fail because I've never used a galaxy map before, and so I may or may not just screw everything up. But basically, what we've got here... Okay. We've got a large number of star systems here. Now, I'm at Ibutis, coming from the Allen sector. All of these here that we've got right now are within my range. Like Rakapala, if I were to go to Allen and then elsewhere, I could have done that. No, we've got other places like Acellus Primus and Dahan. They have border designations here. But basically this is the galaxy, if I can zoom out, which I can't, so don't ask me to. But yeah, we've got all the way out here, and it depends on where you are, but yeah, we've got all these star systems, and it's quite cool. But basically the object of the game right now is you can either fight for your money, or you can trade for your money. Right now what I'm doing is trading for it, because the Sidewinder has no guns at all, and I'm saving up for a Viper, which is why I need all that money. But basically what you do is you come in here, and I know there's a lot here, I'll explain it. I'm going to go to Commodities Market, which is basically where all the trade stuff happens. And to my right you can see my cargo unit space and my balance. If I can find... terrain enrichment systems. And you can see that I've got 4 in my cargo, and they don't have any. They got low demand for it, but it's very expensive. And I only bought these for 39, and I'm making a profit because they do need them. So that's my profit ratio right there, 27.92. But these things were bought for 4,000 credits an item. So, if you notice my balance, just went up by about 20,000 credits. Now, Chango Dock is a marine, agriculture, and industrial economy. Meaning, they need machines, and they make fish. That's how it works. But it looks like they ran out of fish. Yeah, that can happen because the economy is dynamic. So now it's back to normal because they just made a bunch more fish. But for a second there, they'd run out of fish. I'm pretty sure anyway. That could have been animal meat that I was looking at. I'll look at the footage later.
At maximum capacity.
That's the handy dandy computer reminding you that cargo holds at maximum. Now, you got fuel tank and reservoir. Fuel tank is for jumping between light systems, I believe, and reservoir is for super cruise, which is that faster than light, but at the same time you can steer, sort of, type deal. Hull is percentage of health. That's not shields. It's not regenerative either. You need to repair it. Balance is what I've got. Ship is Sidewinder. Fuel store, you need to come by here, but it's really cheap. It's like, I think it was like 20 credits or something. Munitions, I don't need any because lasers, they're just energy weapons. Seeps off the fuel. Bulletin board is yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and accept this. It's actually a pretty good deal, because if you can get 10,000 credits off of your cargo, yeah, I'm gonna jump to Chango later, or jump to somewhere else later to get that. Commodities market we were just at. Contacts lets you do other stuff, like we got the black market here, where you can sell illegal goods, which I don't have because I didn't steal anything. We've got the Pilots Federation, which will clear your criminal record, and we got the local security. I got fines. It's probably because I blasted the face off of a couple of security officers. Outfitting, that's my ship. Right now I don't have a whole lot on it. It's just got a couple class 2 pulses. No utility mounts, not equipped. The bulkheads are light, support not equipped. It's basically default. But this is where you can equip your ship. I mean, if I really wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to, but I could get class 2 missile rack, which is heat-seeking. But I'm not going to do that because I cannot get a return out of that right now because they will not buy them here. Repairs is repairing modules and repairing ships and all that. But right now everything's at 100. Shipyard makes it where you can get other stuff. Like right now at Chango, they are selling a Lakon Type 9 for 3,500,000, a Type 6 for 210,000, a Cobra Mark 3 for 141,000, and a Viper for 92,000. The Viper is the most heavily armed light fighter. Well, it's not really a light fighter. It's a most heavily armed fighter, and it has the highest top speed of anything in this game right now, and that's what I want because then it won't take for freaking ever to go everywhere. I mean, at least not whenever I'm coming up on the dock, and at 20, it'll cut down on travel time and make me a fiercer fighter, which I want to be able to do to fend off pirates. Yeah. So we got some nice animations here. They've actually worked a lot on this, even though this was a Kickstarter project. They have published their own game. So right now, well, as soon as this ramp goes down, I'll be able to launch whenever I want to, rather than just hitting launch and not being able to do anything or change your mind. So we are going to get to getting. Alrighty, let's plot a course first before we get into station, just to make this a little bit easier. Now we're headed toward the All-In system because All-In needs fish for some strange reason. And it also is where I get my expensive cargo, which is where we just warped out of a little while ago. So yeah, right now, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and
Ship released. Engines engaged.
boost out of here. I'm using 2 joysticks for this because this game is very complicated. I got some for the throttle. I got forward, to backward, left, and the right, and then I've got a couple buttons for up and down. And then I've got another button that does this, but I'm not quite sure what it's for yet, so. Over here we've got hard points. We got a couple of cycle between previous and next target, cycle target ahead, which is right now all in because I'm looking at the station wall. We've got super cruise, but right now, or we got frame shift, but right now it is not ready to go yet. So we have to get out of the station before it blows me up, because it will if you loiter, so. Alright, we are locked onto the All-In system. We are going to aim for it. Do exactly what we did before. That is, we gotta get out of mass lock first. These aren't stars that are around us, by the way. These are actually space particles, which do exist, but they're not nearly as dense, but it's just to make the game look cooler. Remember, it is a beta, so not everything will be the same, and all of this progress that I have right now will be reset,
Drive charging.
which saddens me. But, you know, that's how it goes. I mean, you don't need to be precise for this. As long as you're generally pointed in the direction of whatever you're aiming at, then you're good.
4, 3, 2, 1.
This isn't a how-to guide. This is more of a fun thing. You are invincible while you're in super frame shift, as it is, warp speed. But you drop out of it fairly quickly. So if I can get somebody to interdict me on the way towards All-in Enterprise, then it will be very cool to be able to show you that you can indeed be interdicted. And sometimes it's pirates, sometimes it's the Security Federation, depending on where you're at. If you're in an anarchy system, then it is most definitely pirates. You need to basically put all pips into your engines and haul out. That's one thing. Next to hull, over to the right between fuel and ship stats, we've got power pips, which basically means, well, I can't adjust them right now, but basically it means that that is where your power is being diverted. Like, you have capacitors there that are in the center there. A couple of them are recharging, my weapons are not, because I do not fight yet. I've got maximum power to drive engines so that I can get the most speed that I can. And then I've got a couple of pips towards shields. That way I can have shields up and defend myself against crashing into the walls of the station, which I spectacularly do on occasion. But yeah, just gonna line up for a standard slingshot approach. It's not standard in any way, shape, or form, but I came up with it, so. That blue meter next to that blue spot next to my throttle is called the sweet spot. It doesn't really do a whole lot in Super Cruise, except for tell you about where you should be for your distance, but you need to decelerate a little bit quicker than that because the Sidewinder can't stop for some reason. There aren't any space brakes, so. To be fair, the big engines are on the back. I wish I could go into third person to show you this, but you can only do that at stations. So we're actually coming up on Enterprise pretty quickly, and unless something decides to grab a hold of our faces and nom on it, we'll be fine. I know I'm coming in at an alarming speed, but if I get close enough to Enterprise, it'll slow me down. And then I can just turn around, get the speed and the distance to line up, and also align with the station itself. Whenever all that turns green, it'll tell me save, disengage, ready, like that just happened. Then I can tap the Super Cruise button, and it'll drop us out. But it takes a while because we're dropping into a station full of actual people, and we gotta render everything in there before we actually drop out. If I were to drop out in random space, it would be instant, but right now it's gonna take a minute. And if you do an emergency drop, like if you're going really super fast and then you decide, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm gonna drop out of Super Cruise in random bits of space, you can do that. But then it'll put out an unidentified signal. I probably shouldn't have done that. And it'll alert people that you just dropped out of Super Cruise, and they can go and shoot you. Pulse lasers, really light weapons. Yeah, you can see that they're not cooling off because there isn't any pips towards weapons, so I'm gonna go ahead and put one there. See now they're cooling off. That red coil is getting a little lighter. I'm gonna go ahead and just rebalance my systems, and then speed up the engines, of course, and put these away before I get in trouble with them. There is an element of stealth to this game. Basically what you can do is you can choose to stop venting heat by hitting a button that I've got right here that's actually labeled. It'll take your shields down, and then it'll sell rig for silent running. And what it'll do is see that heat signature off to the left there? That will not dissipate. And if it goes over, I'll start taking internal damage to my radiators, or some components, depending on what it is. Probably my engines, which would be bad because the engines are our motivators. And right now my shields are down, and I am not in a no-fire zone, so anybody can come along and shoot me if they want to have a boundary on their heads. I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and put all pips towards shields so they can recharge faster. I'm going to try to keep the shield capacitor recharged, that way in case I do get in a firefight, it can be recharging as quick as it is now, while I have all full power to my weapons, you know? Each capacitor has different aspects to it, if you will. But right now this is actually a different type of station that you see here. I'm pulling up my menu just so you can see. But this is actually the Enterprise class. I'm not quite sure what kind it is, but it's a very pretty station, in my opinion. And it isn't just a cube. It's a lot easier to tell where the docking bay is on this thing. It's at the biggest end. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the pips towards the engine so I can get this done quickly. And basically, you just go back and forth, and what I do is I hop between All-in and Ibutis sector to make it to where I can get monies very quickly, because yes, you are risking. It's like poker though. If you spend too much money on cargo, if you put all of your wallet into cargo, you can lose that cargo by dying, and then there's no getting it back unless you spawn in the station where your cargo was dropped. And sometimes the fireball will just make your cargo disappear. So if you're in Azaban City, which is where most people spawn, it's a good idea if you know that you're about to hit something to hit eject cargo and pray that nobody comes and picks it up. Because if they do, the station's going to annihilate them. But, you know. Because it's stolen goods, technically. The hollow boxes on this radar here, the hollow boxes are actual people. And everything else is NPCs. Not quite sure the difference between triangles and squares as far as NPCs go. I should probably request permission before I go in there, otherwise it'll blow me to Kingdom Come.
Request granted.
There we go. And so it'll give you a little status indicator telling you, yep, you gotta go in there. And I gotta not crash into the walls here because it's a very small bay. And I cannot find my docking bay. Ah, there it is. Deploy the landing gear, as always, because you don't want to smash down on here, because I once lost about 1,500 credits worth of fish, which is what I'm carrying right now, I believe. That hurt just a little bit. Not my best attempt. Not my best attempt. I'm going to go ahead and line up the target. You can see that your radar transforms into something handy this time. And you can just dock like so.
Successful. Engines disengaged.
And you can enter hangars and all that, but I'm just going to go to starboard because you can launch quicker the other way. And it will turn you around to fire you out, which I believe happened a little while ago. But I'm just going to go ahead and go to commodities, and then I'm going to tackle that mission in the Anarchy sector. We're going to get to see some firefighting. I'm not going to heavily arm myself, though. I'm just going to run with the crap loads. Now we got 60,000 credits, which is an all-time high for me. I'm going to go ahead, now that I'm not carrying any cargo, and I'm running in a completely default ship, there will be no risk to me. Except for, you know, having to go all the way back. But as it stands, I'm going to have to go to Ibudis anyway.
Engines engaged.
So I probably should have carried some cargo. But, yeah. You know what? I'd get to where I'm going a lot quicker if I just dash myself against the walls here, so. Ah, jeez, that didn't hurt. That hardly hurt. I don't want to get a bounty, so I'm just killing myself.
Eject.
And kaboomy. Yeah, it's not a good idea to do that, especially if the ship costs you 90,000 credits. Like, whenever you die, it'll give you a reduced price. Like, you can't buy Sidewinders anywhere because they're starters. But you can get a reduced price on this Sidewinder, which I don't know what the percentage is, but for this it's the same as the free one, so I'm just going to take the free one and keep my credits. There is no permadeath in this game, okay? It's all good. As you can see, my FPS is going off the charts over there because it's in a loading screen. That right there on the screen is a wireframe of a Sidewinder. Because I'm spawning into Azaban City, which is actually a whole heck of a lot closer than I was going to be, I decided to commit sausage because, you know, spawning. Because from Azaban I can go straight to the Anarchy sector. Whenever I first start the game, this actually is different. It's a Cobra Mark III, I believe, which is the original starter to the game. So yeah, we're gonna get to see some combat. I'm gonna just check my time real quick.